Before you determine workflow, one of the things you need to decide is if you're going to be cash basis or accrual basis. This is really important before you even start using QuickBooks because what happens is when you're not sure and you use a accrual basis workflow for a cash basis business, it kind of causes some errors in the book. So knowing exactly how you want to how you want to report your income will determine what kind of works we'll use. So now we're going to start with an accrual basis business who first of all sends out estimates to customers before invoicing them. So if you're an accrual basis customer and you first of all send estimates to customers, you first of all by sending out the estimates, if the customer accepts it, you turn that into an invoice, you receive a payment, then you make the deposit, and then you match with the bank feed. If there's no payment made, you need to send reminders and you need to eventually write it up. So you can see like when you have policies that allow customers to go day in and day out without paying, your accounts receivable could increase tremendously. So you have to have those policies to protect you. So, okay, if a customer doesn't pay, you send your 30 days reminder, 35 days, stop work, send a notice, 45 days reminder, 60 days, send a collection. You have to cut it off because what happens is customers who don't pay when you don't put the pressure on them, they just never pay. Now let us see how this is done in QuickBooks. So we're going to make the assumption first that the customer is going to pay. So we click on the plus sign, we create an estimate, and then we enter the customer's name, what the estimate is for. We estimate we're going to spend 3 hours. We save and we send that to the customer. So we wait for the customer to respond. He says, that's okay. So what we do is we go to the customer, or we can actually just do it from the plus sign too. And we'll see that estimate there. We create the invoice. And then we save and send according to the terms of the agreement. If we say we're going to send the invoice before doing the work or after the work, whatever the terms of agreement are, you do that. Then once you receive the invoice, once you get the invoice, so now we can see that this has changed. We can now receive payment on that invoice. So let's say the customer paid check 235, and let's put that in on deposit fund, save and close. And then when we go to bank deposit, the next we do is the deposit. You can see the payment there for the 150. We make that deposit. Let's say it's just that one deposit checking account. Save and close. And then when it comes through the bank feeds, we match it through the bank feed. So let us see what happens when the customer does not pay. Just like we did previously, we start with the estimate, choose the customer, choose the service, 3 hours, save and send and close. The customer approves it, so we go to the customer center, go to the customer's account, we create the invoice, save and send it, send and close. So this time the customer does not pay, so we can't receive payment like we did the last time. But what we do is we go back to sales, we go back, we want to look at invoices, and we want to look at the invoices not due yet. That will be the one, that's what we find it. So we see that invoice recreated. So let's say it's late. We send a reminder in 30 days. 45 days, we'll come back and send a reminder. And, then we might send a reminder in 45 days. And then if they haven't paid in 60 days, you can choose to send to collection. If after a year they still haven't paid and collection is not successful, you might decide it's not worth your while. So what you do is you write off the bad debt. So to do that, you go back to the customer account, do a credit memo for the amount. So let's note the invoice. That's invoice 1044. So we do use the bad debt item, write off invoice 1044, no pay after 1 year. Just something to help you remember. It was for $150. It's not a taxable item. Check that. And then you save and close. Then you come back and receive the payment where you can match the credit memo with the invoice. So we want to uncheck all of this. We want to match this with this because that's what we're writing off. So we can see the actual amount paid is there. All we're doing here is just writing off the bad debt. We'll save and close. And that's it. And that's the workflow when no payment is made. You can see it's kind of longer. When a customer does not pay, that's more work in your end. So imagine if you have to do this for all your customers. That's your whole time. So you want to set policies in place that protect you and gives you the minimum amount of work in-house. And we'll talk about other workflows. And so you can see how you can adjust your contracts. So that way it's easier for you to manage your workflow in-house and your workload. So you're not spending all your time doing accounting documents and stuff, but you can actually spend time serving your customers.